Okay, so we're going to start by casting on 25 stitches. So it's just going to be your standard forward and behind cast on. And I'm just going to attach my working yarn, and we're going to knit 216 rows. Okay, so that makes 216 rows. Okay, so now it's time to cast off. So you want to cut your working yarn, take it out of the guide and just pop it in the middle there. And what we're going to do is turn the handle just to raise these needles again, and with some waste yarn on a darning needle we're just going to pick up the stitches. Sometimes this last stitch gets stuck in the needle, so you might need to just pop it down. And then just give it pop your fingernail in there just to hold it down as you take the last few stitches off, just so it doesn't fall off. Cool. So now you should have one nice long strip that hopefully reaches from wrist to wrist. So now what you want to do is you just want to repeat that step and make another one of these. Next we are going to seam up either side 80 to 85 stitches. Right, now the way I start my wrist stitch is you need to at first find the lines that you're going to stitch together. So flatten out your knitting and then sort of give it a tug so you can see the bars in between the stitches. Okay. Generally you'll have a weird wobbly one on the edge, that's this one here, and then you'll have some proper bars. So let me see if I can just pull this apart so you can see how there's proper bars here. But if I was to pull this one apart, there's nothing to follow. So this is the line that we're going to put the stitching along, and it's going to be the same on this side. So you want to get some matching yarn with your darning needle. What we're going to do is, I like to do 2 bars at a time. It's just, I find it's quicker. So we're going to start with 2 bars up. So if I stretch this out, see I've got my stitch here, and just pop the needle underneath so you can see. So we've got 2 bars on the needle there. So we're going to go from the top down to the bottom, and we're going to leave a little tail. Okay. Then we're going to do the same on this side, but we're going to come up from the bottom. So here you can see this is the one we want to skip because it doesn't have the bars. And this is the line that we're going to work in. I'm going to go from the bottom up. Okay, and that's the start of the mattress stitch. So what you can do now is I'm just going to tie this in a knot. And then we can start doing the actual mattress stitch. So the mattress stitch is very much the same thing. So just pull the stitches apart, and then where we came out of, which is this hole here, I'm just going to go down behind 2 bars and come back up. Then we're going to go to the other side, and it's the same thing. I'm just going to pull this apart, and where we came out of here, go underneath 2 bars, come up. Okay. Then we swap to the other side. You can see this is the strand that's coming out. This is the hole it came out of. So I'm going to go underneath 2 bars, pull up, And other side, this is where the yarn, this is the yarn that's coming out. I'm going to go into this hole under 2 bars and pull up. And then if we were to just give this a tug, you can see it pulls those stitches together. And it's rarely invisible. We'll sew the bottom at the end. Again, I'm going to find where I came out of here. 2. Let's turn this over so we can see what it looks like on the inside. That's it on the inside. You just want to always give it a tug from the bottom just to make sure that you're not pulling too tightly. Okay. So then just continue that all the way up. I'm going to go sit on the couch and finish that off. Okay, so I finished the seaming. So this is my seam here. See, it's relatively invisible. But now I just need to decide what I'm going to do with the ends. So I'll just bring this up here so you can see. See, this is my seam here. And we've got a couple of stitches that are falling to the back. So upon looking, I would think maybe this one needs to go, maybe this one. So I'm just going to hold it flat and just take a look at it. So let's see how it's wanting to fall. So this is the stitch that's in question. So I could either have it look like this, or I could have it look like this. As soon as I know I'm going to be decreasing for the wrist anyway, I think I'm just going to go with keeping these 2 and then binding off these 2. So how I'm going to do that is just that little tail from the yarn that we used to tie a knot in before. I'm just going to loop it through. You could just do this with a needle if you needed to. I'm just going to loop it through this one as well. And then you can either weave that in, but I've actually got a tail from casting on here, so I'm just going to tie those in a knot. Okay, and I'll weave that in later. But I can now remove the yarn from the end there, and from that one as well. Okay, so that's the new top of my work. Okay, so now we need to work out how many decreases we want to do for the cuff. So what I've done is I've just used some stitch markers to effectively pin it closed so I can try it on. So I'm just going to pop my arm in the sleeve here, pop it up to where I know it's going to be, and then I'm just going to pinch it to where it's comfortable. I don't want it to be too tight, so I think about there is about good. So I'm just going to hold that and slide it off my arm, and then you just want to count the stitches. So then what you want to do is you want to go to worldknits.com knitting calculator, and you just want to scroll down to the knitting decrease calculator, and you want to count your stitches all the way around, see how many you've got. Once you've tidied up the bit where you've seamed, pop in how many stitches you currently have, how many stitches you want to take out, and then click calculate, and then you'll get a pattern to follow. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do this on the machine. So once you have your pattern, I like to write mine out on a bit of paper just so it's easier for me to tick off. This is especially useful if you might not get the whole thing done in one go, if you're going to be interrupted or things like that. So I've just laid out there. So I'm going to knit 2 once, I'm going to knit 2 together, then knit 2 4 times, knit 2 together, knit 3 2 times, knit 2 together, knit 2 4 times, then knit 2 together once, and then knit 1 once. Okay, so I'll grab my machine and we can have a look at how we're going to do this on the machine. Okay, so starting with needle number 1, which is the white one, I'm just going to grab my project, taking out those stitch markers so it's flat again. I'm just going to pop it in the middle here. And for my cuff, I want to have 1 row of knit stitches because I think the bumps add a nice little decorative element. So I'm actually going to have mine with the knit side facing inside, but it's completely up to you what you choose to do. So right, so I'm going to do the first stitch, which was knit 2. So I'm just going to lift up this stitch, make sure it's not twisted. Can you see how it's not twisted? This is what it would look like twisted. So make sure it's flat, and we're just going to loop it over, raise the next needle and knit the next stitch. Okay, and then just going to grab my list. You can see here knit 2, so I can give that a tick because I've done it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just bring this back. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to knit 2 together and then knit 2, and we're going to do that 4 times. So let's do the knit 2 together. So I'm going to raise the next needle, which is needle number 3, and it's pretty easy. You can probably guess what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first stitch and pop it over the needle. And because this is knit 2 together, I'm going to pick up the next one. I'm going to put it on the same needle. So that was knit together. And I'm going to knit 2. So pick up the next needle. Loop one over. Next needle. Loop one over. So that was knit 2 together, knit 2. So come back to my little chart, and I'm just going to do a tally here. So I've done 1. Okay, so let's do that again. Bring up the next needle and put that one on there. And because this is a knit 2 together, I'm going to put 2 on the same needle. And then the next 2 are just normal knits. So let's lift that up, pop it on the needle. And the next one. There we go. So that was a knit 2 together, knit 2. So back to my little tick list, I can mark another one off. So I'll show you that one more time. So this needle here, you've got to make sure that you're not missing any. So if you do need to pull out, then you can see where the purple line is broken by the stitches. So just make sure that you're not missing any. You can always leave the lifeline in all the way around as well, just so if you do knit any, you can go back and change it. So this was a knit 2 together, so put 1 on, and then I'm going to put the second one on. Then it was just knit 2, so these ones are quicker. And it's 3 down. So I'm just going to work my way through this pattern and attach this back onto the machine. Okay, so that's all attached to the machine now. So all that's left to do is just to add my working yarn through the guide and in the tension guide. And just gonna skip that one. Okay, so as these stitches rise, they might get a little bit stuck, so you may have to use a loom pick just to pull them down, just for the ones where there's 2 of them on the needle. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this down so you can see what I'm talking about. So can you see here, that's a little bit stuck, so I'm just going to use my loom pick just to push that down. Okay, so I might just need a little bit of force. Loom pick at the front, finger at the back. Some of them go down nice and easily. Okay, so that's the first row all done. That's going to be my decorative pearl bump row. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to do 10 normal rows. Okay, so that's 10 rows complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to detach my yarn. And I'm going to be doing a crochet border, so I'm actually just going to not chop it. So I'm going to be finishing off, and I'm just going to throw the ball in the middle. Right, and then we're just going to cast off in the normal way. So we'll twist the machine without any yarn in there. That will release these stitches, and then darning needle with this. So, but because I'm going to do ribbon, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just pick up the first 2 stitches, because this is going to be the seamed one, and this is going to be my first knit. That's going to be a pearl, so I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to pick up this one, so we can just let that drop. It should be fine, it shouldn't unravel, because we still have the lifeline in from when we originally took it off the machine, so even if it did unravel, it's not going to unravel the whole thing. Okay, so we skip the next one. Turn the machine a few. So I'm going to skip this one, I'm going to pick up this one, skip this one, and pick up this one, and then turn some more. So it's just the same thing, so skip this one, pick up this one, skip this one, pick up this one, and this is going to be a 1x1 rib. So if you wanted a different, if you want a 2x2 rib, then you would pick up 2, skip 2, pick up 2, skip 2. But you always want to make sure to at least pick up 2 at the start and at the end. Okay, so this is what you should have. So I've got mine knit side up, and these are the rows that we've just done. So what you're going to need is you are going to need a crochet hook. I've got a 5mm one, but any size will do. So we're going to go along the top here, and we can see I've got my 2 stitches there, and just going to pull this out. So as you get near the bottom, you can see I want to keep 1 row of pearls just as a decorative stitch. So you can see I've got a smile and a frown, a smile and a frown. So I want to make sure that this frown remains a frown. So I'm just going to go put my hook in just above where that frown is, and pull out all the rows below. Okay, so there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knit all the way up. So go up in order, grab a strand, pull it through, grab the next one, pull it through. You want to make sure to do this in order. So you can use any size crochet hook, it doesn't matter. We're going to stretch this out and we're going to block it later. Okay, now I've come to the final one. There we go. So now what I'm going to do to secure this as I go along is I've just got another piece of scrap yarn on a different coloured thread, and I'm just going to go through the 2 that we're keeping and through the one what we've just done. I'm just going to set that off to one side, and there's one done. So moving on to the next one. So we're keeping this one, and this one is to come loose, so I'm just going to loosen a few. When I get so far down, again have a look for my smiles and frowns. So this bar I want to keep, so I'm just going to pop my hook in just above that, pull out, okay, and then work my way up. So another way to do it is you can count, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then grabbing my darning needle, I pick up the pearl and then pick up the knit that I've just done and remove my hook. Okay, so on the next one, let's count these as I pull them out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is the one that I want to stick my hook into. Okay, so if you're not very good at reading the stitches, that's an option for you as well. Then I'm just going to work these 10 stitches back up. And 10. Okay, and then again, pick up my darning needle, pick up the pearl, pick up the knit, and remove the hook. There you can sort of start to see that we've got some ribbing going on with a nice decorative stitch along the bottom there. So I'm going to work my way all the way along, and I'll meet you back here for bind off and seaming. So I just had a little idea while I was doing that, so I've just finished this one here and I've come to the top, and instead of grabbing the darning needle and putting it through, what I'm doing is I'm just putting my crochet hook through the pearl stitch, grabbing the waste yarn and then just pulling it through, and then I can move straight on to the next one, so I don't have to put my crochet hook down or pick anything else up. So it has sped things up a little bit if you wanted to try doing that. So I'll show you that again. So I'm just coming to the last stitch there. I'm just going to pop my hook into the stitch that we skipped, grab the waste yarn, pull it through, then I can move on to the next one. So okay, so that's all of the ribbing stitches are now done. So I'm just going to pull out the waste yarn, and you can finish this off however you like. I'm going to finish it off with a single crochet. So I'm just going to turn this over, and I still have my end attached to the ball, which is handy. Okay, so to do a single crochet, we're just going to go in this stitch, yarn over, pull through, in this stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're effectively knitting the stitch and then attaching it to the previous stitch. So through you go, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And you don't want to do this too tightly, you still want to have a little bit of stretch. And I'll just speed through this for you guys till we get to the very end, and you can see how we're going to seam this all together. Okay, so that's all done now, and it's still very stretchy. So I'm just going to pull out the waste yarn and we are free. Okay, so now we're just going to do the same as what we did for this stitch. We're just going to mattress stitch this together. Okay, so you're going to seam together the cuff and then a further 60 stitches up the underarm of the sleeve. Okay, so once you've done one cuff and seamed up the side, you just want to repeat that on the other side, and then you should have what resembles a tube with cuffs on either end and 2 holes. So just as a reminder of what we did, we knit 2 flat panels, 25 stitches by 116 rows, then we seamed the top 80 stitches, added 10 rows of ribbing, then finished by seaming the ribbing plus 60 stitches. Well, this actually turned out much better than I thought it would. I am totally in love with it, and it will be getting a lot of wear over the next few months. Hopefully it will encourage me to wear more of my sleeveless dresses. I might actually make another one in a different colour, but try making it in the round to avoid all of the theming. I'll post an update on my community area if I do, so please subscribe if you're interested in updates. As always, please comment below if you need any assistance or if you have any project suggestions. I have some more summer projects on the way soon, so I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.